And welcome to the Metal Mixtape here on KSKQ 89.5 FM Ashland, Oregon, 94.1 FM Medford, Oregon, and stream online on kskqdjramo.org. It's the boy, it's the Don DJ Ramo. We have the legendary, the brutal, the fast, the mean Ken Mary from Fifth Angel on the air. What is up, my friend?
Oh, I'm just amazed at how fast you can speak. I'm like, I can't talk that fast.
You know what? I've done the intro like probably 1,000 times now. So, because when we're at the radio station, we have our, the station ID and everything we have to do at the top of every hour. And at one point it just started clicking because like I'd come in late and I'd be like, oh man, I got to fit it in right at that 30-second slot, and then everything else kind of came through. But man, I am so excited to talk to you. We have so much to break down. I literally have notes on every single song. Your 3 amazing videos: "We Are Immortal," "Resist the Tyrant," "When the Angels Kill." Your amazing bandmates Steven, Ethan, Ed, and John. Just a whole amazing project you got. Oh, is that a vinyl you're pulling out right there?
Yeah, this is a vinyl. Yeah, there you go. And the reason I'm doing that is because you're going to ask me about specific songs, so I'm going to have to go, oh yeah, oh, yeah, that song, yeah. So you have your notes. I have my vinyl.
Well, you know what? You've done so many projects. Of course, everybody always mentions Alice Cooper, Flossom and Jetsam, except one of the things I'm gonna definitely mention today is all your amazing performances at the Vocal Academy as well, because you do some great drumming there, which is absolutely awesome. Just notable. The one literally titled Killer drum performance, the one you did with Glenn Dover, Kip Winger, Steve Conley, Lita Ford, and David Elfson, which was just absolutely insane. But I'm going to save that for the second half of the interview. Right now, we are going to break down just for like a quick couple minutes, man. Growing up as a kid, did you always just bang on stuff? Were you always just like a high-paced, high-thinking, like music machine? Like did your family get you into this? Did somebody hand you a record, that just inspired you? What caused this whole transformation that created this juggernaut that is Ken Mary?
Well, thank you for your kind words. I do think, people always say, well, I didn't choose drums, the drums chose me. And that's really the case with me. I mean, I was 5 years old, in school, I'd be banging around with pencils and markers and everything, and teachers would have to take them away. And, it was just something that was sort of innate, and it was just like naturally inside me. So I think the drums chose me.
That is awesome. Okay. But okay, I feel like, okay, I've been playing music for a long time, and I know like a certain show like kind of inspired me. Did you ever have like your first big show as like a drummer where like you stepped out on stage and like you kind of self-consciously talked to yourself and was like, all right, Ken, like this is the big time. Look at the crowd. Like if there was one moment in your life that you could think of where you had to step out on that stage and you were just like, all right, man, like you made it. This is the big times. Like you got to go out there and crush it. Did you ever have a show like that?
I did. That was with Alice Cooper, and it was a Halloween show, Joe Louis Arena in Detroit.
Woo!
It was our 5th show together, and it was also broadcast live on MTV in front of 20 million people. So if you screw up, you're screwing up in front of 22,000, and you're up in front of another 20 million. So there was a certain amount of stress, but to be honest with you, I was like a pig in slop. I was having a great time, and it was like I always talk about that because that was my first big show. I mean, I played bigger shows and all that kind of thing, but that was the first big show. And honestly, it was such a blast. I think that was, in terms of fun, that was probably the most fun I ever had in my life, was that show.
Oh man. So I gotta ask, so when you're playing like not only just playing in an arena, but you're playing a show that's broadcasted on TV, is there any extra preparations that you have to do as far as like your sound check or cue ins on, like, is there a camera that the light turns on and goes like, hey, you're on TV? Like what was that moment sort of like, getting up on stage and knowing that you were going to be on TV?
Well, with something like a concert broadcast, that you could be on TV any second. I mean, they cut because everybody's got a camera, they cut to your camera, you're instantly on TV. So you just have to expect that you're always on television. So it's not, that's not a bad thing. It's just, and it doesn't really change your performance, and it really doesn't change your preparation. It's just something you are aware of.
That's awesome, man. That is so cool, man. Yeah, I just anytime I watch any performances on MTV or any live broadcast like that, I'm always wondering what extra preparations like you have to do. But if it's just like, hey, just drum and go and just expect the camera to be on, then I guess that's all you really have to worry about.
Yeah, you try to be an entertaining performer. You try to do your best, and you try to play well so that the music sounds good. And that's really. But we were a pretty, that was an early show for us. That was only show number 5, and the band actually got so much better later on in the tour. But I will say that there was, we did very well because the Alice organization was very smart about ramping up to that show. Like we had some earlier shows where they just kept getting bigger and bigger. We played a show in Orange County that was maybe 3,000 to 5,000 people, and then we started playing some coliseums that were maybe 15,000. Then all of a sudden it's this Joe Louis thing with 22,000. But it was kind of a nice ramp up to it. So I think we were fairly well prepared.
Dude, that is so sick, man. I could only imagine like just knowing that. So were you able to go back later and watch the MTV performance and everything? So you're constantly performing with so many amazing musicians. And you know what? And for me, I even tell them about the drummer in my band. It's like the drumming is like the most important person in the band, because if the drummer messes up, it could possibly mess up everyone. And if a guitar player misses a harmonic or a note here on a scale, it's whatever. You know what I mean? Life goes on. But do you ever have a lot of pressure on yourself when you're playing these big shows, and just knowing that like a lot of it, like even like the tempo, I swear, if like the drummer, like if you have these songs in a certain tempo and the drummer is just tired that night, it could literally slow down the whole entire performance. Like, you know what I mean? So do you ever have a lot of pressure, on you when you're playing these shows, and how do you overcome that going on tour, especially like playing these long tours where like you have to keep your endurance up and make sure that you're on point?
Sure. Well, I think the best thing you could do is obviously, for a drummer, I think it's different maybe for a drummer or a singer. I think those are the two positions that are, if the singer's having a tough time, people notice. If the drummer's having a tough time, people notice. You're right. You can be playing guitar and maybe hit the wrong chord or whatever, and the bass player can hit the wrong note, and most of the people are not going to necessarily be aware of it. But yeah, the drummer messes up or the singer messes up, and it's a whole different story. So I do think that, there's an old adage that says, poor preparation makes for poor performance. And so I do think what you try to do in those instances is really try to prepare yourself the best you can. If it's a set you're not familiar with, or you haven't played with the band very long, you have to put in your time, you have to rehearse, you have to, really try to understand the music and know the music. So it's not just, you're not having to think about it. You can just play it and perform it. And I think that that's also another thing that's really super helpful.
No, absolutely, man. One of the things I always tell myself is like, always be prepared, because sorry, I've been drinking coffee all morning. But Peyton Manning when he was on the Colts and the Denver Bronco, he always says he's never nervous because he's always prepared.
And that's true. If you're prepared, you tend to not be nervous. I mean, like when we went to do that show I was telling you about, live in front of 20 million people, I felt totally comfortable. I was so ready for it, because I had been playing live even before Alice. I was ready for my drum solo. I was ready for all those things. So when you're prepared, it's fun. At that point, I was just, like I said, I was like a pig in slop. I was having a great time.
Dude, that's incredible, man. Like I say, I only could imagine like what the drummer goes through and just everything they have to prepare. But I definitely I'll actually, you know what? I'll talk about the vocal academies right now, and then we'll spend the entire second half on When the Angels Kill, because there's so much to talk about. Okay. So when you're playing these songs, I mean, you played awesome song, Triumph song with the wonderful Rudy Sarzo, which I love that guy. Rudy Sarzo just seems like such a rad guy. You know,
he's a super nice guy. I love Rudy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then one of the ones I really loved was your killer drum performance where you had Lita Ford, David Elfson, and all that. Coming into the video, you were given such high praise, and it just seems anywhere I go online that you are always given such high praise as a drummer. When you're coming in and doing these performances with all these amazing top tier musicians, like do you always know like exactly what you're gonna lay down? Or do you do well with all like the expectations of what they know you're going to bring to the table?
I don't know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
mostly I don't think about that too much,
Yeah.
especially I think you're maybe talking about the recording situation where you're playing something that really hasn't been established, a part that hasn't been established. I always try to do, and it's funny because whether it's songwriting or whether it's drumming or whether it's producing, I always feel like, I do what feels right for me, and then hopefully that translates into what the artist is trying to do or what the songwriter is trying to do. I'm always trying to do what I think is exciting and works, and then hopefully it works for them too. And so far, I've been very blessed to work, like you said, with just incredible musicians, and I really haven't run into too many issues where somebody's going like, hey, I mean, of course, you're going to run into a situation where a producer says, hey, maybe you could change this fill, or maybe you could try this kick pattern, or, you may try different things. But for the most part, I think I've been very successful in terms of, coming up with something that everybody feels pretty strongly about.
No, I love it. So do you know ahead of time, like when you're going to do a performance with all these amazing musicians, and do you guys have like a powwow, like a meeting, like before the song? Or before laying down the recording and just talk about it and go like, hey guys, like we're gonna nail this, we're gonna crush this. Does that type of stuff happen in the background?
Well, I think now you're talking about the videos. So those videos, no, we really, that's being produced by Ken Tamplin, and so my part is to find out, for the foundation, because building a song is almost like building a house. You have your foundation of a house. Well, the drums are the foundation of the song. So really for those songs, it was really just talking to Ken and saying, hey, what do you want? Do you want it to be kind of similar to the original? Do you want me to enhance it? Do you want me to put in different stuff? And I think in this case, we stayed fairly close to the original. And the reason being is that, a lot of people are used to hearing those songs and they're used to hearing certain things. So, and they're huge hits. So we didn't want to deviate too far from what was on the record. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. No, that's, because I always see musicians do this, and I never know exactly what goes on in the background. I don't know if it's just like people emailing each other and go like, all right, here's the drum part. Okay, here's the guitar part. And then one guy is just splicing it all together, so.
Well, it's a little like that, but in this case, a little bit different because there is somebody behind the scenes that has a vision for what it's supposed to be. So as a musician on one of those sessions, your job is to fulfill the vision of the producer. And so in this case, it was, stay fairly close to the original, maybe throw in a few extra things here and there, but try to capture the spirit of the original recording. And as a matter of fact, on the Triumph song you mentioned, we actually played to the original recording. So when the band sped up, I sped up. When the band slowed down, I slowed down. And I was trying to kind of even that out because that song was recorded in early 80s before they really used click tracks or anything. And the tempo was kind of going all over the place. And so that was one of the challenges was to, if you're going to see those tempos move, try to smooth it out a little bit. And I think we did. I think we did a really nice rendition of that song.
That's awesome. Yeah, I sometimes never think about that, how like back then a lot of bands, they didn't have click tracks and they were kind of just like set up a bunch of mics in a room and just like, and what the thing is like, that's why there's like I always have such a high respect, especially for older recordings, because it isn't like now where it's like, all right, do a take 30 times. Let's pick the best take. Let's insert and paste. And then you have all these parts of a track that are just spliced through. Cause I've been in recording studios nowadays where it's like, all right, you're going to do a ton of takes. There's no you playing a rhythm right into a guitar solo. There's no you doing a drum fill right into this whole section where you're going to lay down for a vocal high performance. You know, it's like back then it's like, okay, you have to nail this. You have to crush this. You know what I mean? Because if not, you're going to let the other guy down who crushed it.
You know, that's the funny thing, you know, and maybe turning the table just a little bit to the Fifth Angel stuff. You know, you can go back and listen. You know, we made a record as kind of, you know, novices. You know, I'd say, you know, we were very young. You know, we went in and did our first album, and I'm very proud of that record. You go back and listen to it. It sounds like we had Pro Tools. I mean, everything is perfectly in time. It's perfectly in pitch. You know, everything is very well structured. It's very well thought out. It's a very well crafted record. And, you know, honestly, that's something I learned early on because of that Fifth Angel record, which, by the way, Terry Date produced that, who ended up producing, you know, Soundgarden, Deftones, I think Limp Bizkit, Pantera, you know, like all these bands. Terry Date was involved. And that was his first record ever, was that Fifth Angel album. And I think we all took away some really important lessons, and that's, you know, have a plan, do it right. You know, don't let something go that's not, you know, that's half baked. And that's something that, you know, I'm doing interviews in Europe, and we're still talking about that record, you know, 6 years later or whatever it's been. You know, it's crazy, you know. So you can never be unhappy when you do something right.
Absolutely, man. And I love that. I love you brought that up, man, because, yeah, it's just, you know, being in a band for a long time, it's cool being able to go back and respect and be happy about the work that you did before, you know, and, you know, listening to the new record, When the Angels Kill, it's just the whole song just makes me feel like you're just like so exhausted from just going so damn fast the entire record, you know. I thought like you guys had like a great intro to the album with Descent into Darkness. You know, the intense drum intro with the dual lead guitars. And one thing I noticed about this whole record is that you guys had like cryptic messages throughout at the end of every track, almost linking all the tracks together like some story. You know what I mean? It was almost like almost like some sort of like futuristic like war going on in the background.
It is a concept record, so
yeah.
You know, there is a story that's going along, and the songs actually have a lot to do with that story. And one other thing that we did, which is a different layer of all of this, is we took all of the previous albums and we took some of the lyrics and some of the song titles, and we wove all of those into a story for this album. When Angels Kill is actually, it's a 70-minute long opus that's basically taking you through a story, and that story actually reflects back on the previous 3 albums. So if you want to know more about a song, you know, like Kill the Pain, that song's about where the protagonist Phoenix loses one of his best friends, and he's reflecting on that, and you know, he couldn't save him. And if you go back to the Third Secret and you listen to a song like Can You Hear Me, that's coming from the other side of the equation. So you can learn things about this album and the story from going back and listening to the other album. That's kind of sweet, right?
Yeah, no, hey, that's incredible, man. You know, I'm happy that, you know, no, that's what I love about these records, because sometimes I feel like you can really tell when you listen to a record and it's just an accumulation of songs or an accumulation of ideas, and it's kind of like chaotic, you know, which kind of probably makes the band room going like, where does this song fit? Where does this song fit? And with this one, that totally makes sense. And especially with your videos, We Are Immortal, just for me, I thought it was just like it was really brutal, but I thought there was like some beautiful metal ballad stuff in there. And one thing I wanted to ask about Resist the Tyrant.
Yeah.
The Tyrant guy in there, he almost looked like Ivan Drago from Rocky.
That's funny. Well, there's a funny story behind those images, because I gave the story to Kane Roberts, who was the guitar player in Alice Cooper back in the day, and he works with AI a lot, and he's an artist. He's a graphics artist. And I said, hey, can you come up with some characters? You know, these are the main 4 characters in the story. You know, we've got Phoenix, the young man, you know, who's caught in these world events. We've got a global dictator named Dion Perfontes. We've got Lana, which is, he ends up being his love interest, and his best friend Dylan, who's part of this resistance that's growing. And so he went ahead and made, through AI, made these images, and we just thought that wasn't intentional to look like a Drago at all. But when I saw like a businessman, but he had a tattoo on his face, and, kind of like a dark demeanor, I was like, that's him, that's the guy. So anyway, that's how that happened, and actually came with those images, which is actually really a cool little backstory.
No, that's badass. No, sorry I had to ask that question because my favorite movies are the Rocky movies.
Oh,
and,
really?
and I was like, is that Dolph Lundgren right there?
Well, it wasn't Dolph Lundgren, but it is kind of funny. That does sort of look like him. I agree with you now that you pointed that out. I didn't think of that before, but he kind of does look a little like him. Yeah.
No, I loved it, man. Like this whole record, I love the whole story behind it because it is like at the end of each song, it's like somebody recording like when they're like in the middle of a war in their own perspective of like what's going on. You know what I mean? So it was really awesome listening to this record all the way through. Some of my notable favorite songs, Empire of Hate, which I just had you guys have so many fantastic intros in these songs. Just guitar shredding right out the gate, and you have some fantastic musicians in this band, man. You know what I mean? Like it's really awesome when you have a band that just really sticks out. With Ethan and Ed just out there just shredding their tails off every song, just lick after lick after lick, and you are just I feel like every one of these songs just has a tremendous just a power to it. And also John's bass tone, which I really loved in Seven Angels. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So I loved how everybody in this band just absolutely sticks out. And of course, everybody knows Steven's just a powerhouse and just absolutely just demolishes it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, great vocalist. I just need to go back just 1 second there. Ethan co-wrote on a couple songs of the record, but the lead guitars are actually done by Jim Dofka.
Okay.
He just shredded. I just want to do that shout out just because, Jim obviously put a lot of time and effort into that, and I just want to recognize him. And, we had some weird things happening with COVID and trying to do this, during the, we had some family members that were ill, and one of our guys got injured. Ed got injured actually at one point and wasn't able to play. So my friend Steve Conley came in and played some guitars as well. So the best way to describe it is we had a situation sort of like Halloween Pumpkins United, where they had, those guys had like 4 guitar players and 3 lead singers and, all these different members. We sort of used a family, our Fifth Angel family of players to actually get this record done. And, because we did have deadlines and everything. And so the only reason I'm letting you know that is because I just don't want to, leave anybody out. I want to make sure that everybody knows that, hey, there's some other players on here and they did an amazing job.
No, I respect that, man. And as a journalist, me diving into the web, it's very hard to hear all that and what band members are going through and the deadlines. That's probably one thing a lot of fans don't know, that there's always deadlines. You have to finish it. You have to make sure it's also like the exact vision. So that's really awesome that you said that, because definitely huge shout out to Jim Dofka for sure, for doing that. So rock out. We don't have too much time left. I don't want to take away time from the other journalists in case you got other meetings going on. But everybody check out When the Angels Kill by Fifth Angel. We're talking to Ken Murray. I'm going to ask you 3 super quick questions. Are you ready?
All right. I'm showing them the vinyl. It's actually cool. It's a double vinyl record. I don't know if you can see any of that.
I can see all of it. I can see all of it. That's badass.
It is. I wonder if this is the red vinyl. Let me see if I can show you. Oh, this is blue. This is cool too, but the red one's actually transparent. You can see through it. But yeah, it's a great looking album. Thanks to Nuclear Blast, they just knocked it out of the park on this.
So if everybody watching this, go pick up that vinyl, because it's absolutely badass. All right. Last but not least, before I let you go, can you say this is Ken Mary from Fifth? We want to do the 3 questions?
Well, you had 3 quick questions. Yes.
All right. Sounds good. All right. If you could choose your death, but it had to be by somebody in a horror movie, who would you choose to kill you, and how would they do it?
Wow. Can't even answer that. I really think about that one. So maybe next question.
All right. Sounds good. If you can describe Alice Cooper in one word, what would that one word be?
Intelligent. He's a very intelligent man, and very down to earth, and kind, very kind as well. I mean, he handles his fame better than anybody else. And I've known a lot of famous people, but handles his fame extremely well.
I love it. All right. This is one more oddball, but let's see if you could do it. In a zombie apocalypse, if you had one weapon to destroy zombies that isn't the cure or a nuclear weapon, what is that one weapon?
And it destroys zombies, but guns don't kill them, right?
I think headshots do.
Headshots do. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I'll take an Apache helicopter.
I like you go down low and just use the blade.
I'll be above the zombies and then firing down into the zombies. So
I love it. All right, Ken Mary. Last but not least, can you say this is Ken Mary from Fifth Angel, and you are listening to the Metal Mixtape?
I absolutely can. Hi, this is Ken Mary from Fifth Angel, and you're listening to an amazing show, the Metal Mixtape. Check it out.
Thank you, brother. You have a great rest of your day, great rest of your meetings, great rest of your interviews. I can't wait to keep telling people about this record. My radio shows tonight, and we are going to play songs off this record. You have a great night, my friend.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too, brother.